You are not separate from the universe before this video truly begins. I want you to do something. Pause for a moment and answer this question in the comments below, without trying to be clever or correct. Just follow your first instinct. Do you believe reality exists independently of you, continuing exactly the same whether you are here or not? Or do you believe reality only becomes what it is through your observation and participation? There is no right answer, but the way you respond reveals something profound about how you experience existence itself. For most of human history, the story we told ourselves was simple and comforting. The universe was a vast, intricate machine happening somewhere out there, governed by matter, forces, and predictable laws, while we existed in here as separate observers watching it all unfold. We were taught to see ourselves as passengers inside a world that was already built, moving through time without influencing its deeper structure, as if we were merely along for the ride. But modern physics, at its most fundamental and unsettling level, has been quietly dismantling this picture for more than a century, replacing it with something far more intimate and far more challenging to our sense of identity. At the quantum scale, the level that underpins everything you see, touch, and feel, reality does not behave like the solid, dependable world you experience every day. What you perceive as solid objects, your body, your phone, the ground beneath your feet, are mostly empty space, structured by invisible fields of energy. Atoms are not tiny solid balls, but dynamic systems of vibration and probability, constantly in motion. If your body is made of atoms, and atoms are mostly empty space and energy, then what you call you is not a solid, static thing. You are a pattern of energy, a complex dance of motion and relationship, temporarily holding a recognizable form, more like a wave in the ocean than a statue carved from stone. One of the most profound and consistently proven discoveries in quantum physics is that particles do not exist in a single, definite state until they are observed. Before measurement, they exist as waves of possibility, spread across multiple potential outcomes at the same time. Only when an interaction occurs does this wave of potential collapse into one specific result. Observation, then, is not passive. It is not just looking at reality after it has already decided what it is. Observation is part of the process that brings reality into form. The observer does not stand outside the experiment. The observer completes it, suggesting that the universe itself waits for interaction before choosing how it will appear. This does not mean that thoughts magically control reality, or that wishing hard enough can bend the laws of physics, but it does mean that consciousness is not irrelevant. The observer is not separate from the system, watching through a window. Awareness is woven directly into the fabric of reality itself. This leads to one of the deepest questions still debated by physicists and philosophers. Is consciousness merely an accidental byproduct of complex matter? like a spark produced by the brain, or is consciousness a fundamental aspect of the universe, as essential as space, time, and energy? If the latter is true, then the universe is not just a place that contains conscious beings, but a universe that is, in some sense, conscious. Everything that exists is made of energy, including your thoughts, emotions, and attention. These are not abstract concepts floating in nothingness, but measurable patterns of electrical and chemical activity within your biological system. Energy interacts with energy. Systems influence systems. A thought is a ripple, an emotion is a stronger wave, and sustained attention is a continuous current. When these patterns repeat over time, they stabilize and become your default inner state. That inner state becomes the lens through which you experience the world, shaping what you notice, how you interpret events, and how you respond to them. Quantum field theory takes this idea even further by showing that particles are not independent objects at all. They are excitations, or vibrations, in underlying fields that fill all of space. The universe is not fundamentally made of things, but of relationships and interactions. Nothing exists entirely on its own. Everything is defined by how it connects with everything else. From this perspective, you are not a separate object living inside the universe. You are a localized, self-aware expression of it. A complex intersection of fields temporarily organized into a conscious experience. This radically changes how we understand identity. You are not a fixed entity moving through an external world. You are a process, constantly updating, shaped by memory, attention, and interaction. The same energy that forms galaxies and stars flows through your nervous system, giving rise to awareness and thought. You are not made of stardust. In a poetic sense, you are the universe becoming aware of itself from a particular point of view, experiencing itself through your senses. Even time, at the deepest levels of physics, is not as rigid as it feels. Multiple potential futures exist as probabilities until interaction brings one into focus. This does not mean that anything is possible at any moment, but it does mean that the future is not fully written in advance. Choice matters. Attention matters. Awareness matters, not because you control reality, but because you participate in how it unfolds. Where you place your attention is where you influence which possibilities are strengthened. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are scattered and contradictory, your internal system becomes unstable and life feels chaotic. But when they align, coherence emerges. This is not mysticism. It is how complex systems behave at every level of nature. Coherent systems are more stable, more focused, and more effective. A scattered beam of light produces a weak glow, but when it becomes coherent, it becomes a laser. Your consciousness works in much the same way. So consider this carefully, and if you feel drawn to it, answer in the comments. If you truly believe that you are not separate from the universe, but an inseparable part of the same energetic process that creates reality itself, how would that change the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat others, and the choices you make when no one is watching? Because the truth is, you are not a visitor here. You are not standing outside reality, observing it from a distance. You are a fundamental part of the process that brings reality into form. And once this is understood, even intellectually at first, the world no longer feels quite as solid, fixed, or distant. The sense of being a small, isolated self in a vast, indifferent universe begins to dissolve, replaced by connection, participation, and belonging. You are not just in the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself in human form. You are not watching the universe. The universe is experiencing itself through you.
When you truly sit with the idea that you are not separate from the universe, something subtle begins to shift. It's not dramatic at first. There are no visions, no sudden answers, no instant peace. Instead, there is a quiet destabilization of the old way you saw yourself. The sense of being a small observer in a vast, indifferent world begins to loosen. You may notice moments where the boundary between inside and outside feels thinner, where experiences seem less like things happening to you and more like things happening through you. This realization can be uncomfortable. If you are not separate, then responsibility changes meaning. It no longer belongs only to external forces, systems, or circumstances. It becomes internal, relational, participatory. Not in the sense of blame, but in the sense of influence. You begin to understand that how you meet each moment matters, not because you control outcomes, but because you shape the quality of the interaction itself. The universe responds not to who you wish to be, but to how you are being. You may start to notice patterns you once ignored, repeating emotional reactions, familiar thoughts that surface in different situations, wearing new disguises. The same inner dialogue echoing across years. Seen through this lens, these patterns are not flaws to be eliminated, but signals. They are feedback loops asking for awareness. In physics, Systems evolve when they receive feedback. Consciousness is no different. Awareness is the beginning of change, not force. When you recognize yourself as a process rather than a fixed identity, growth stops feeling like self-improvement and starts feeling like self-alignment. There is less pressure to become someone else and more curiosity about removing what is no longer coherent. Like tuning an instrument, the work is not to add more strings, but to bring the existing ones into harmony. This kind of alignment does not make life effortless, but it makes it intelligible. Challenges stop feeling random and start feeling instructive. There is also a quiet humility that comes with this understanding. If you are an expression of the same universe that expresses itself as oceans, storms, and galaxies, then you are neither insignificant nor all-powerful. You are a moment in a much larger movement. This dissolves both arrogance and helplessness. You matter, but not in isolation. Your actions ripple outward, not because they are special, but because everything ripples in an interconnected system. This perspective can soften the way you relate to others. When you no longer see people as separate, self-contained units, their behavior becomes less personal and more contextual. Fear looks like fear, not hostility. Confusion looks like disorientation, not ignorance. This does not excuse harm, but it reframes understanding. Compassion becomes less of a moral obligation and more of a natural response to recognizing shared structure beneath different expressions. Time, too, begins to feel different, not shorter or longer, but less oppressive. If the future is not a fixed destination but a field of probabilities, then presence gains weight. The now becomes the place where participation happens. Attention becomes valuable currency. Where you place it determines which possibilities are strengthened. Distraction scatters energy. Presence concentrates it. And perhaps the deepest reflection of all is this: if you are not separate from the universe, then meaning is not something you must search for externally. Meaning arises from participation itself, from engaging honestly with experience, from listening as much as acting, from allowing awareness to inform choice. You are not here to decode the universe. You are here to take part in it. There will still be uncertainty. There will still be loss. There will still be moments where nothing makes sense. But those moments no longer signal failure. They signal transition. In physics, systems often pass through instability before reorganizing at a higher level of coherence. Confusion is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it means something deeper is rearranging itself. So if you feel unsettled after hearing these ideas, that may not be a problem to solve. It may be a sign that an old framework is loosening, that a more inclusive way of seeing is beginning to form. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. And maybe that is enough for now. Not answers, not conclusions, just a quieter relationship with the question of who you are and how you belong to everything else. You don't need to become something new. You only need to remember what you are already part of.